Social Studies Module 4, Geography. Geographic Literacy, Location. Relative location. The relative location of a place is its location in relationship to the things around it. For example, if I said that I live about halfway between Little Rock and Conway, I would be giving you my relative location. This is my relative location because it explains where I live in relation to other places. If I didn't know where Little Rock or Conway was, or if I didn't know how much distance was between them, this information wouldn't be helpful to me. Absolute location. This is a location that does not change. An address, a legal description, or a latitude and longitude are examples of an absolute location. Review question. Which of the following would not be an example of an absolute location? 1903 Grant Avenue, Suite E, Jonesboro, Arkansas, zip code 72401. 34.746498 by -92.288803. This is a latitude and longitude. 2 miles east of Washington Elementary School on Oak Street, or Tract 2, point northeast by northeast 2.33. This is a legal description. The correct answer is C. 2 miles east of Washington Elementary School on Oak Street is not an absolute location. It is a relative location. If I don't know where Washington Elementary School is, or if I don't know how to find Oak Street, this description would not be helpful for me. Option A, an address, Option B, a latitude and longitude, or Option D, a legal description, are all examples of an absolute location. Even if I'm unfamiliar with local landmarks, I can utilize these resources to find the absolute location of a place on a map. Geographic literacy, place. Regions are geographic areas with similar characteristics. A region may be defined by both physical and human characteristics. Physical characteristics are the characteristics like landform, types of soil, type of environmental conditions, and other things that are functions of nature. Human characteristics of a place are the characteristics that are not determined by nature, but by human actions and decisions. Examples of this would be type of government, the religion, the language spoken, and the choice of homes that we live in. Regions. Think of a region like the Midwest or the Deep South. What defines those regions? You might consider the physical characteristics of the land, the political or social views of the people who live there, the climate and the rainfall, or even the prevailing religious views. As you brainstorm, consider both the physical and human characteristics. Make a list of the human characteristics of a region. Now, make a list of the physical characteristics of a region. Pause here to make your lists. Practice answer. Regions. Human characteristics might include a common dialect. People in the South generally speak differently than people in the Midwest. Common economic and agricultural interests. While the South is mostly known for growing cotton, soybeans, and peanuts, the Midwest is better known for growing corn and wheat. Similarities in religion and ideology. While the South has a large population that identifies as Protestant or non-Catholic, the Midwest has a larger Catholic population. Physical characteristics of these regions might include the climate and growing season. The South tends to have a warmer climate and a longer growing season. You may also look at the type of soil. Since the Midwest encompasses much of the Great Plains, the type of soil you will find there is much different than the soil you'll find in the Delta regions of the South. Review question. How does geography define a region? An area with similar physical and human characteristics. An area where everyone is of the same race. An area where everyone practices the same religion. An area where people speak the same language. The correct answer is A. Geography defines a region as an area with similar physical and human characteristics. While all of the other factors, such as race, religion, and language, can be aspects of human characteristics, it's important to remember that a region does not require that everyone in that region be exactly the same. These are generalities that apply to a large number of people who live in the region. It's also important to remember that a region is defined not only by human characteristics, but also by the physical characteristics of the land itself. Map skills. Types of maps. It is important to remember that there are many different types of maps, and that each type of map can show a different type of data about the land that it's describing. A political map shows the boundaries between states and countries. Major cities are also marked and placed in correct proximity to one another. A physical map shows the physical characteristics of a landscape, like rivers, mountains, forests, and lakes. Elevations are indicated by changes in colors. A topographical map is similar to a physical map, but shows changes in elevation using contour lines instead of colors. A climate map shows the rainfall, snow, average temperature, and other climate features of an area. An economic or resource map shows the resources of an area, including the types of crops grown, minerals that can be mined, and other resources. A road map shows the highways, roads, and railways present in an area. Road maps are detailed and designed to provide clear directions. A scale map represents the distance between places to scale. For example, 1 inch might equal 1 mile. These maps allow for accurate measurement of distances between places. What type of map would a person need to check if they wanted to go mountain climbing and needed to know how tall the mountains are in a particular area? A. A climate map. B. A topographical map. C. A resource map. Or D. A road map. The correct answer is B. If a person wanted to go mountain climbing and wanted to know how tall the mountains are in an area, a topographical map with contour lines would give the most accurate data regarding the height of the mountains in a particular area. Map skills. There are two types of lines on a map, latitude and longitude. An easy way to remember the difference is to think latitude lines lay down, or they are horizontal, and longitude lines are long to stretch from the top to the bottom. These are vertical. The latitude and longitude lines on a map or globe create a grid that allows the user to pinpoint the coordinate of any location by giving the degree of latitude and longitude. This location will often be given as a coordinate that first shows the latitude and then the longitude, placed in parentheses. Look at the example to see how this is normally written. The prime meridian is the 0-degree longitude line, and the equator is the 0-degree latitude line. All other marks of longitude and latitude are measured from these. Review question. Latitude and longitude create a blank that allows each location to be assigned a specific coordinate? A. A scale, B. A cartography, C. A grid, or D. A region? The correct answer is C. Latitude and longitude create a grid that allows a location to be assigned a specific coordinate. Reflecting on our previous slides, you may remember that this is an absolute location because it's not based on other geographic points. This grid allows a user to pinpoint the exact location of a place on a map. Map skills, technology. Technology has made significant changes in the accuracy of map making because it allows cartographers, or map makers, to use computer-aided design models that do not rely on human perception and that are not subject to human error. In addition, computer models allow maps to be updated in real time to reflect changing data. A Geographic Information System, or GIS, is a computer system that compiles geographic data from various sources and ties that data to specific locations. A Global Positioning System, or GPS, is a system of 24 satellites owned by the United States government that transmit location and time data to GPS receiver equipment that can calculate a user's position and potential travel time. Remote sensing, or RS, is the process of acquiring data remotely using technology including satellites and aircraft, radar, sonar, seismograph, ultrasound, and other sensor technologies. Three major impacts of technology on the study of geography are the ability to collect and transmit location data in real time, the ability to process large amounts of data to quickly identify trends, and the ability to study geographic regions remotely. Review question. How has technology changed the academic study of geography? A. It has given us the ability to collect and transmit location data in real time. B. It has given us the ability to process large amounts of data to quickly identify trends. Or C. It has given us the ability to study geographic regions remotely. Or D. All of the above. The correct answer is D. All of the above. Technology has changed the academic study of geography because it has given us the ability to collect and transmit location data in real time. It has also given us the ability to process large amounts of data quickly to identify trends. And it has given us the ability to study geographic regions remotely. Human geography, areas of study. Human geography studies how people interact with their environment, including their culture, economy, and community. This is one of the areas of study that separates geography from cartography, or the study of maps. Culture includes their way of making a living, people's religion, their government, and how these things function in relationship to the physical space in which they exist. For example, consider how the physical conditions of a place might influence the types of clothing people wear, the food they eat, or even the way they govern themselves. Economy. Economy looks specifically at how people work and create value in a given location. Consider how natural resources, access to waterways, trade routes through mountains, and other physical features of land might impact how people create value in a society. Politics looks at how people govern themselves and how their location impacts their government. Consider how a government might look different governing a group of islands in an archipelago versus the government of a place that was all unconnected land. Consider how the size of a place may impact the way it would be governed. Could you govern an area the size of the Roman Empire in the same way you would govern a Greek city-state like Athens? Why would the physical geography have an impact on the way each place would be governed? When you think about these questions, it makes a great deal of sense that differences in geography would impact communication, transportation, and ultimately governance. Review question. What is the main focus of human geography? A. Maps and how they are created. B. The study of the human body and how body systems are mapped. C. The study of how humans interact with each other and with their environment. Or D. The study of rocks and rock formations. The correct answer is C. The main focus of human geography is the study of how humans interact with each other and with their environment. Human geography, population. Population patterns. The study of population patterns looks at how people are distributed in their physical space. This field includes looking at migration and the growth or decline of populations in specific areas. For example, consider where most ancient cities were built. Notice that the population tended to follow water. Many major cities are either on coasts, rivers, or other waterways to ensure access to resources and transportation. Population geography also considers how people move through their space and why, specifically looking at why groups of people migrate. Consider the first residents of North America who came across the land bridge from Asia, or the migration out of the Great Plains during the Dust Bowl. These movements of people are part of the study of population. Human geography, land use. Land use is the study of how humans use the land that they inhabit. Land use can be broken down into several categories. Residential land use is land that is used primarily for human habitation. Agriculture, ranching, and animal husbandry involve the use of land for growing crops or for breeding and maintaining livestock for food and other resources. Forestry is the use of land for growing trees. Market, urban center, and business is land that has a concentration of population for trade. Transportation is the use of land for roads, bridges, rail, and shipping ports. Transportation is essential to move goods to and from urban centers. And finally, recreation. Recreational land is land set aside for pleasure and enjoyment. Human geography, culture. One of the major concerns of geography is looking at culture, or the norms and identifying societal characteristics of a group of people. It is important to remember that culture is not fixed. It changes over time. There are two main reasons cultures change: adaptation and diffusion. Adaptation refers to a change in response to a stimulus. For example, a change in climate, a major war, or a change in religion. Diffusion refers to a change that results from interaction with other cultures. Diffusion refers to the spread of a culture. Consider how many countries follow American media and entertainment. This is an example of cultural diffusion. Adaptation refers to a change in response to a stimulus. Consider a village that has always relied on fishing as a major aspect of its economy. Due to pollution, climate change, and overfishing, the lake where the villagers have always fished has become an unsuitable habitat, and there are now fewer fish to catch. Because of this lack of fish, the people must adapt and find a new way to make a living. Review question. What is the difference between adaptation and diffusion? A. Adaptation occurs when a culture changes due to a change in situation. Diffusion happens when a culture changes due to exposure to other cultures. B. Adaptation occurs when cultures change due to exposure to other cultures, and diffusion occurs when a culture changes due to a change in situation. C. Both adaptation and diffusion are a result of changes in situation. Or D. Both adaptation and diffusion are a result of exposure to other cultures. The correct answer is A. The difference between adaptation and diffusion is that adaptation occurs when a culture changes due to a change in situation, while diffusion happens when cultures change due to exposure to other cultures. Diffusion is the spread of a culture due to contact with other cultures. This can include language, religion, technology, and ideas. Diffusion can be broken down into subcategories based on the cause of the cultural diffusion. The first subcategory is relocation diffusion. In this type of diffusion, ideas spread because people move to a new location and take their culture with them. Consider Chinatown in New York City. A group of people with a shared language and culture moved to a new place and brought their culture with them. Expansion diffusion. In expansion diffusion, ideas move outward from a center of population and highly connected individuals to individuals who are geographically removed and less connected to the center of population. This can happen naturally, which is called contagious diffusion, or through deliberate official channels, which is called hierarchical diffusion. Consider the expansion of the Roman Empire. Some people adopted the Roman religion and language through trade contact. This would be contagious diffusion, while others were conquered by Rome and made subjects of Roman law and culture. This would be an example of hierarchical diffusion. Stimulus diffusion occurs when an idea is spread from a culturally connected center but is then modified based on the stimuli in the environment and adapted to meet local needs. Consider the spread of Christianity. While there are core tenets that are shared, there are also many regional and cultural variations where the core religion has been adapted or blended with the local culture. Review question. What type of cultural diffusion occurs when one country conquers another and mandates cultural changes, such as changes in religion, language, and currency? A. Contagious expansion diffusion. B. Hierarchical expansion diffusion. C. Stimulus diffusion. Or D. Relocation diffusion. The correct answer is B. Hierarchical expansion diffusion. When one country conquers another and mandates change, this is an example of a hierarchical or top-down expansion diffusion. Political geography. Political geography looks at the boundaries between countries, how countries divide land, and how those boundaries change over time. Political geography may consider how a nation's physical size and placement impacts its political power and cultural influence. Consider how a landlocked nation may battle neighboring states to gain access to a seaport or river. Consider how nations who lack certain natural resources because of their placement may seek to expand their borders to gain those resources. Consider how a nation's borders may change due to war and changes in government. For example, when the Soviet Union dissolved, many of the countries that had once been within its borders became independent nations. Review question. What is the focus of political geography? A. How people interact with the land and their environment. B. The borders and boundaries of countries. C. How people interact with each other. Or D. How people are elected to serve in political office. The correct answer is B. The focus of political geography is the borders and boundaries of countries.